We will tear your souls apart.
Hello everyone, I'm Wolfman Sam, here with my partner Johnny Buff Guns.
Hello?
And we are Creatures of the Night.
We are.
Alright, John, you want to start us off? And yes,
Yes.
my camera is not working today, so you just have to stare at my logo.
Yes. But it's a pretty cool, badass logo, I will say that. And
I try. Little AI goes a long way.
It just shows, despite with all the cons of AI, but a little purpose to AI to a certain degree. But my advice...
Yeah, if you don't have the money, and you're I don't even want to say aspiring artist, because I'm not an artist. If you need the logo and you don't have the money, it's great.
My advice, use AI in a healthy way, but don't rely on every single thing.
No, always make sure to flex that creative muscle. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's a tool. AI is a tool, so,
Right. Right, because the one thing I never used AI as a student is never use it for essays. I mean, yes.
No, never use it for essays.
No, I did.
Or to gather information.
Right.
I'm a big negatory guy on like AI summary.
Right.
I know a lot of young kids that use that, and I'm like, that's not real research. You gotta actually research things, because it'll just tell you whatever is the popular opinion. So
right.
That's
But I did use AI to help me pass anatomy, but that was different, though, only because it helped me break down mnemonics and how to understand the material. That's it.
And not to put in my shameless plug here, but I do use it as a tool to make my music over at Metal Might Records. That's Metal Might Records for all your AI needs.
Right.
In case you guys are looking for some awesome tunes, some heavy metal tunes. It's pretty diversified as well. I just finished a vampire kind of jazz album of sorts. Betty Bat's Late Night Date would be the album.
Right. Anyway, to start this podcast off, I want to talk about how this year Devil's Rejects turns 20 years old. Imagine this. You had Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes. If they had a kid, this is what you get.
Yeah, and to add to that point now, I know you guys can't see my t-shirt. I am wearing my Devil's Rejects t-shirt.
Thank you for it.
Yep, to clarify, for those of you that know your film history, it's sort of like a little brother to Wes Craven's Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
Or not Hills Have Eyes. Hills Have Eyes. But I always said it's more like Last House on the Left.
I can see that.
And very, very similar. And like I said, it kind of continues, for those of you that are familiar. It's a Killers on the Run kind of story.
Right.
It is a sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses. But the weird thing I've always wanted to point out, it's almost like a completely different movie aesthetically.
Right.
Where Corpses was like a cartoon, more akin to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is more grounded in reality, and that's why I use the Last House on the Left analogy, because the characters they're still the characters, but they look slightly different. They look less cartoony and more grounded in reality.
Right.
But the premise is the killers, the Firefly family is on the run from the law.
Right.
That's basically it in a nutshell, and all the hijinks that ensues in doing so.
Yeah. Well, even though I haven't seen House of a Thousand Corpses in a long time, I highly doubt you have to watch that in preparation.
No, you can, and that's the other thing too. You could watch Devil's Rejects not knowing anything about House of a Thousand Corpses and not miss a beat. Like I said, it's almost like a completely different movie, dealing with the same characters, but slightly altered in just aesthetic.
Yeah,
really.
Right.
And it's a completely different type of movie. Like I said,
right.
If Corpses is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre cartoony kind of splatter film drive-in. This is the more serious, grounded type of movie.
Right. Well, the other thing too about this film, it's another those very uncomfortable, and it's also very like a grindhouse exploitations kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I said, the Last House kind of comparisons, I can't get over it because it does become very uncomfortable to watch.
It is,
especially with certain scenes. I'm gonna try to keep it spoiler free. I guess we'll have a spoiler section. I guess.
Yeah,
that's okay. But
yeah, I guess we like.
But yeah, it is a very uncomfortable movie to watch.
Oh yeah.
And over the years, I still love this film, but over the years, certain scenes just kind of bother me.
All right. Well,
I don't know if you get more sensitive as you get older, but.
Well, not about sense. It's just that my first viewing as a teenager, I was like I said, uncomfortable. Then rewatching it like here and there on occasion, I'm still not like comfortable watching, only because of how just it's over the top, brutal, and just
like I said, it shares a lot of the same kind of themes and uncomfortability of Last House. And I don't mean to make a one-to-one comparison, but that's sort of what it reminds me of. It has that same kind of like Killer on the Road. I believe they both have a rape scene, so
I guess maybe because it's weird saying it, as I've seen Last House on the Left more than this film, despite the same I don't know, maybe because I thought Wes Craven did it better. I don't know. I guess it depends on It
depends on your taste. I like them both for very different reasons. But I think it's a pretty good comparison to compare them, because it's like that's kind of what it feels like to me, but that's just my opinion.
Right. And I also have to point this out about Bill Moseley's character. His character's name is Otis B. Driftwood. And you're gonna laugh at me when I can make this comparison right here. His character is named after a character from the Marx Brothers, A Night at the Opera, and their last name is Firefly, another character that Groucho Marx played in Duck Soup. You're gonna say to yourself, how do you go from
that's the thing. I mean, I guess this is the point where I guess we'll get into spoiler territory. They point that out in the movie.
Yes.
That's how they figure out, like, and they do. I don't know if they actually say their real names in the movie, but I know there is.
They don't really call each other by name that much in the film that I can remember off the top of my head.
I know there is a little Easter eggs.
Yes.
You can find like jail prints almost that actually shows their. When I say real names, I'm talking about the character names, not the actors and actresses.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, Otis and.
I only remember because I remember Baby's real name in the film was like Vera Ellen or something like that.
Yes, Vera Ellen.
Something like that, and Otis was something else. I forget. But yeah, they point that out in the film. Right. I think the sheriff Wydell.
I think so. I kept calling him William Forsythe throughout the entire.
Yeah, he is one of the best parts, and
he was. He was like, you think like he was gonna be the hero that he captured these.
No, he goes to goes to lengths just as bad as the rejects themselves, if not worse. Right? He goes down to their level. And that's the thing that's interesting, is like you think he's going to be this Eastwood guy, and you're like, you're kind of rooting for him at the beginning, but then it's like, he's no better than, he's no better than them.
Let's just say he was no saint, and also at that moment I'm like, I don't know who the hell to root for in this movie.
There's no good guys. There's no good guys in this movie.
The only good people in this film was that family they tortured at the motel.
The victims. Yeah, some of the victims I would say would be the only morally good people. Which uncomfortable rape scene, and it's weird because I think I had mentioned this. When I had mentioned Devil's Rejects one time in the podcast, but I call it cinematic Stockholm syndrome. over the film, the course of the film, because you spend so much time with the rejects themselves, right? They party, and they're drinking and they're having a good time. What ends up happening, I don't know if it's just me, you kind of end up rooting for them.
To a degree.
It's weird. Because, like, after the party, it's just like, they're horrible psychopaths, but I've been hanging around these guys for so long, and, it's like, they're horrible, but there's nobody to root for, so I'll guess I'll root for them.
I know, that's the tricky part. I just feel it's like I'm trying to go from the dark side, like in Star Wars.
Right. It's like I said, I call it cinematic Stockholm syndrome.
No.
Yeah, I call it cinematic Stockholm syndrome, because that's like the only movie I know of that there is no bad guys, and I guess I don't know if I'm alone in this. I'm sure guys could let us know in the comments as we're recording this, but maybe am I alone in this whole cinematic Stockholm syndrome where considering there's no people to root for, that people kind of root for the rejects out of.
You're probably not alone in that category.
It's like.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like it's such a weird kind of dynamic. I remember when I was really young when I first saw this, I was like, by the end, I was like, the rejects, even though they did horrible things.
But with my first viewing as a teenager, I didn't, at the time, I didn't give it much of a thought at the time about the good and the bad until I got a little bit older on more viewings of this movie, like, hello?
I'm still here.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you were going to say something.
No, I guess my point was that it's like as a teenager you don't think about those things, but then as you get older, you rewatch it and you're like, oh yeah, how did I? Right. That's my point.
Right, and that's why there are certain movies that I go back and I watch, and this is tying into what I was saying before. Is I don't know if the older you get, the more sensitive you get to certain movies.
To a degree.
I'm not a squeamish person by any means, but I went back and I watched certain movies, and I'm like, man, that's brutal. That is really brutal. And I remember as a younger guy, as like a teenager, I wasn't bothered by it. Right. I was kind of desensitized. I was like, all right, that happened.
Right.
But as an adult, you just you kind of process it, I guess.
Well, at the time, as a youngster, getting to horror film, I guess there were still certain things that still made me sensitive at the time until now, not so much. Maybe a little bit, but it depends on the movie. It depends on my taste. So
and I'm no gore hound by any means. I say if you're going to have gore, have it have a purpose.
Right. Anytime I tell people about like a good horror film, I said, "Oh, you like this? There's no gore in it, but it's still scary and effective."
Right. And you don't have to be. It doesn't have to be a gore fest.
Right.
But if you're gonna go there, have it have a purpose.
Right. Well,
have it be shocking or I don't like expletive gore really that much. That's why I'm not really a big fan of Saw. I like the first movie, but after that, I just kind of clocked out. And Hostel I'll never get into just because I'm not a fan of that genre.
Right. Well, the Mandela effect. When I was a kid watching the first Halloween, I thought it was a gore fest. But now as I'm older, I'm like, this is not as gore because again, as a kid,
right. I remember.
As a kid.
Yeah, I remember when I first watched Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember it being a lot gorier than I remember.
Like my gore scene I remember is when Michael Myers kills the girl in the car. I have this vision of where he slits her throat and blood splats up, but no, that really didn't happen at all.
Right, and that's the thing. The mind is a powerful thing. I'll give you an example. I mean, we're gonna get off topic a little bit.
Yeah,
we'll get back on topic.
Well, here's the last thing. Then also wait before you. Sherry Moon Zombie, she's no angel. Don't be blinded just because she's hot and she tricked the guy at the motel.
Right, and I have to say, I know people are kind of mixed on Sherry Moon. Yeah. I find myself kind of defending her more than not. Over the years, she's delivered, decent performances and not so good performances. I will admit that. But this performance, I think she did quite well.
Right.
I think she did a very good job. I didn't even notice the recast.
I will say though, this time she could have been a good Harley Quinn choice.
Probably. I'd say
go either way.
Yeah, I would say, given the right direction, probably. To make a finer point, I didn't even realize this for years on end, but they recast Mother Firefly.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not Karen Black.
Oh, really?
It's I forget her name. Easterbrook. I forget her first name, but I didn't even realize until years later that that's not Karen. That's not Karen Black. That's someone else. But it's the funny thing. But yeah, to get back on the whole mind is a powerful thing kind of subject. To put on a finer point, I remember when somebody had told me about the movie Human Centipede.
Right.
And my mind constructed something out of The Fly, something like more body horror type of, more centipede than human. When I finally saw it, it was like, why do I feel like a German man in leather would really enjoy this movie? I feel like this is really popular in Germany for some reason, and I felt it not only was unintentionally funny, the first Human Centipede, but I was expecting so much more practical effects, so much more disturbing imagery than what I've got.
Right.
But yeah, it goes to saying, like, the mind is a powerful thing.
Yeah, true, very true, man. And I also want to we have to talk about Sid Haig as Captain Spaulding.
Yeah, Sid Haig is one of those guys, much like Bill Moseley, I will always defend as probably one of the most underrated actors.
Yeah.
And he's a character actor, and if you guys know his filmography, he was TV and he was kind of everywhere.
Well, actually, that's the other thing about this film. You can point out, have a drinking game, oh look, there's Ken Foree, there's Michael Berryman, there's E.G. Daly, and E.J. Souls, Danny Trejo.
What Rob Zombie does best is his movie is littered with B-movie actors, B-TV stars, sometimes A-listers, in between that.
The only A-lister in this film was Rosario Dawson, but her scene was cut, though. I'm not sure why.
Right. She was a nurse.
I think she was, I think at that time she was still, a nobody, still trying to make her way around, even though, she did a couple
it always shocks me every time I notice that E.G. Daly is in this, because I'm like, that's Tommy Pickles. That's,
right. Well, that's what's her name from Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse.
Right. It's so shocking because she's like, I know her as the girl next door, and then she plays a hooker in this one. It's totally the opposite. She's hilarious.
Yeah, Ken Foree plays a pimp, and Michael Berryman was I guess his sideman or something.
Yeah, and I love their dynamic. They're like I said. That's the point in the movie where you kind of go through the cinematic Stockholm syndrome, because you're hanging out with the rejects, you're joking around with the rejects, you're partying with the rejects, and it's just it's weird. It's very, very strange.
They wanted some tutti frutti fucking ice cream.
Yeah, tutti fucking tutti.
Your future. Next scene, they get ice cream.
Right. There's elements of comedy. It's like I said, cinematic Stockholm syndrome. You as the audience member sit with these guys, through thick and thin, and it's like you kind of start to like them in a weird. It's weird, and it's funny that the sequel from this, 3 from Hell, kind of pokes fun at that. But that's a story for another time.
Right, yeah. And also, with them, adding a little slightly comedy, it's, similar to, believe it or not, a little bit to Last House on the Left, despite all that disturbing stuff, and yet they add a little bit of, slapstick comedy with those.
Yeah, there's comedy to it. There's kind of a, lightheartedness in between, and it's weird considering the type of movie it is. Yeah. It's very strange, I said, the ice cream scene is is the perfect example. If you were to play it out of context, you'd be like, what, like 1970s, like what, what is this, like a 1970s like edgy comedy? I'm like, no.
No. It's like they were like trying to like lighten the mood up after all the things we saw with these crazy psychopaths did, torturing a family at a motel.
Yeah, like it's not too long after Otis like beats a man half to death, actually.
Right, or Captain
Spock, and does that chilling like Charles Manson-esque, speech of "I'm the devil, here to do the devil's work."
Right.
Which I have to address this. I see the Manson comparisons with Otis.
I could see that.
He's obvious, because I know how much Rob is like not super obsessed, but he is like a encyclopedic knowledge of the Manson murders and the Manson family. So I can definitely see the influence with Otis and Charles Manson, and possibly Baby and Squeaky Fawn. Squeaky Fawn is one of the women of the Manson family. Right. So I can definitely see those comparisons.
Right. The other thing too is you feel bad for that little kid that Captain Spaulding scared.
Yeah, and like I said, he got off light.
Yeah, true.
He was the one survivor. Him and the mom, I forget. The mom didn't die. She got knocked out.
No, he just he doesn't really kill them. He just knocks out the mother, scares the crap out of the little kid, and then just takes.
That's the really interesting thing I never really picked up on. In the movie Devil's Rejects, Spaulding doesn't kill anybody, I don't think.
That's true. No, he's just.
Does he?
No, not that I could think of. He's just there. That's it. Basically protecting his niece and nephew. I don't know what.
No. Son and daughter. Their son and daughter.
Oh, okay. I don't know. They cheat.
Yeah, they're son and daughter.
Okay.
I believe Spaulding actually. I mean, I could be overthinking this. Rob Zombie would know better, but I believe Spaulding is the stepfather because Tiny is like the father. Tiny is the big giant guy, the one that looks like a zombie.
Gotcha.
He's like the father of the guy with the axe from Corpses.
Right.
So apparently, Mother Firefly not only got pregnant from him, Spaulding as well.
That could be another video of its own. The history family behind the Firefly.
I would love like a book explaining.
Yeah, really.
Like, I feel like there's so much more to the read. Like I would love the family history. I'd love like I'm not looking for a movie. Like I don't want like Little Rejects, them as kids. But I would kind of like to know what like a prequel kind of maybe not comic, but like a prequel novel on like what were they what was growing up like?
Right. Well, it definitely got the sense of dysfunction, especially from the early scene when they escape the police and.
Right, but there's also this weird sense of camaraderie, like they threaten each other to kill, that they're going to kill each other, but they never actually do it. Number one, and they genuinely care for each other. That's the only, the only people that they care for is each other.
Right. Well, I guess that in Ken Forey, I guess if you want to say that too.
Well, yeah, and what little friends that they have.
Yeah, I know the kind of people that have a lot.
And I'm putting friends lightly. I'd say Spaulding is more friendly to Charlie, I believe. Ken Forey's character's name is Charlie.
Yeah, well, they seem to know each other. They get that sense like they know each other.
Right, like old friends, like immediately. Right. And even like Otis is like, who's this guy first?
Right.
And Charlie's like, you still an asshole? Great scene. But like I said, the only friend they got gets axed. And like I said, he didn't really do anything wrong except throw a party.
Right.
Poor Charlie.
Right, now, it felt like a little bit like The Shining right there when you thought, like, what's his name?
A little bit.
he gets acts the same way as the guy from The Shining.
And I'll never escape that feeling of like when that scene was going down.
Right.
Normally you'd be like, yeah, he's gonna get her. But again, I don't know if it's just me. When that scene was going down, I was like, this feels wrong. I should be rooting for this, but I'm not.
Right.
Why?
I know. There's just
like I said, cinematic Stockholm.
Right.
Cinematic Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. And also, one thing I want to bring up, believe it or not, when this movie came out, fans actually petitioned an Oscar for Bill Moseley to be nominated for an Academy.
I agree. I really think this is probably one of his best performances. Right. But I've always been a defender of Bill. I think he should probably, in terms of B-movie actors, be number 2 or number 3 next to Bruce Campbell.
Right.
I really think so. Because he's one of those actors. He's one of those actors that, regardless of the role he takes, he puts 110% in it. Into it.
Same with William Forsythe.
The guy from Reanimator, Jeffrey Combs. Actually, Jeffrey Combs, I'd say, would be number 2, and I'd say Bill would either be number 3 or 4.
Right. But unfortunately, I hate to say this, Rob Zombie's not that lucky for an Oscar nomination for one of his movies.
No, but I really think if any of his films had to win an award, I think it should have been Rejects.
Gotcha.
Maybe Corpses, but I don't know. I think Rejects.
We're pushing the limit on that one.
Right. And even people that aren't really a fan of his movies, they always say, Rejects, though. but Rejects was good.
His movie was rejected for an Oscar.
Yeah. It's rejected.
Yeah.
Pun very much intended.
Exactly.
All right. Is there anything else you want to add about the film, or you want to move on to our next topic?
Well, maybe just one. Actually, nah, I think we've. Let's see. Wait.
He's checking the list.
Yeah, I think we've just about covered it. I guess the one more thing I want to say is just don't insult Ken Foree with chickens.
No.
That's all I'm going to say right there.
Yeah, don't. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,